Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I've brought you the book Earthquake by Ruskin part 6. In this part, we'll tell you how the Burman family began their life again normally after the real tremor was felt and their house was completely broken. Beginning again. Late that night, grandfather wondered if he had spoken too soon. There was another strong tremor, and Mumtaz's frail hut swayed and swung as though it was a hot air balloon. In the town, more buildings came down. Grandfather had been wrong about the weather too, because it did not stop raining and he had to give up his plan to sleep outside. Everyone else had bedded down on the floor of the hut using bits of torn carpet and bedding rescued from the house. It was a tight squeeze, with Mumtaz and his wife and 4 small children taking up half the space, and grandmother and the family taking up another half. Nobody slept much except for Mukesh and the smaller children. In the middle of the night, Pickle finally succeeded in digging his way out of the ruins. He was white with plaster, and one of his long ears had almost come off. He sat down outside the hut and howled for most of the night. Other dogs in other parts of the town took up the howling, so it was a weird, frightening sort of night, what with the wind, the rain, the howling, and always the fear of another earthquake tremor. Grandfather noticed that although the hut swayed about when there was a tremor, it showed no signs of falling down, unlike big brick and stone buildings that had come down so quickly. Indeed, although they did not know it then, almost everything made of bricks and masonry had been leveled to the ground. Wooden structures, no matter how rickety, had withstood the earthquake. Full extent of the damage would not be known for a few days, because the earthquake had been felt all over Assam and parts of Bengal. A train had overturned at one place while another left the rails. Over 1,000 people lost their lives in the Cherrapunji hills. The mighty Brahmaputra river burst its banks, and many farmers were drowned in the flood. In one small town, 2 elephants sat in the bazaar and refused to get up until the following morning. One man was lucky. When the walls of his house came down, a pot of coins showered on him, but no one else found any treasure. It rained all night. Although the main shock of the earthquake had passed, minor shocks took place at irregular intervals of 5 minutes or so. Rakesh stayed awake with the grown-ups. He was sure that the school buildings had fallen. There wouldn't be school for months. There wouldn't be much else either. Early in the morning, Mumtaz got up to make tea on his small Prima stove. Grandfather got up and went outside. It had stopped raining, but even the sky looked wounded as the sun came up red and angry. For many, it would be a long, sad day. Soon, the children were up and playing around the house. Grandmother opened a tin of sardines. Sardine tins were earthquake-proof, it seemed, while Mumtaz's wife made chapatis. They went quite well with sardines. Pickle enjoyed them too. Grandmother had washed and bandaged his head, and he was beginning to feel normal again. "Will we going away?" asked Rakesh, munching a sardine rolled in chapati. "I suppose we'll have to," said grandmother. "We can go to Calcutta or stay with your father on the tea estates." "I don't want to go," said Mukesh. "Mukesh always wants to do the opposite of everyone else," said Rakesh. "What about you, Dolly? What do you want to do?" "Dig up my doll's house," said Dolly. "We'll get you another," said Rakesh. "I'll make one for you." It will have to be Calcutta, said grandfather. There are schools there, lots of them. No, said Rakesh. We like it here. The school will start again. But we don't have a house now. We can build it again, can't we? Yes, agreed Mukesh. We can build it again. Build it again, repeated Dolly. Build it again. All easier said than done, said grandmother. But where's the money to come from? What's our daddy for? Rakesh wanted to know. He has a job. He can send us money to build a new house, can't he? That's what fathers are for. Yes, I suppose he could, said grandmother, opening another tin of sardines. That's what sons are for. Grandfather was standing at the gate when he saw his friend Azad, the carpenter, passing along the road, looking drawn and pale. Azad raised his hand in a greeting and made as if to pass on. Usually he stopped to talk. What's the hurry, Azad? Asked grandfather. There's going to be enough work in the town to keep you busy for more than a year. But for what? For whom? Said Azad without stopping. My wife and daughter are lying in the military hospital, and it's the only one left. And I don't know if they'll live. I'm sleeping there too, as my own house has gone. And there were others like him who had suffered greatly. Mumtaz brought home an 8-year-old girl, a distant cousin of his, who had lost both her parents when the roof of the house fell in. How will she manage alone? Asked grandmother. I'll look after her, said Mumtaz. I wanted another daughter. It won't be easy for you, said grandmother. You must let us help. It's the God's will, said Mumtaz. He has spared us, and we must care for those who were not so fortunate. While most of the survivors of the earthquake began leaving the town, grandfather and his family began the task of putting their property together again. They would clear the rubble, salvage what could still be used, and then start from the scratch. But grandfather had decided to use only the smaller bricks together with light wooden frames. So that if there's another earthquake, he said, we can sway and rock like Mumtaz's hut instead of crashing to the ground. I suppose there is something to be learned from a disaster, said grandmother. A neighbor looked over the broken wall and asked, Aren't you people leaving? No, said grandfather. We are staying. The experts say there is sure to be another earthquake. Who knows? Said grandfather. Don't you believe in the experts? Did they predict this earthquake? No, they didn't, admitted the neighbor. So why run away? Where are you off to? Cuttack. Experts predict there will be a cyclone in Cuttack. The neighbor threw up his arms in horror and walked away, looking thoughtful. Perhaps Cuttack wasn't a good idea after all. Where did one go in order to escape disaster? Grandfather and his family had decided to stay where they had always lived and faced it out. Maybe there would be another earthquake, but they would be prepared this time. And meanwhile, there were few compensations. Mukesh and Dolly had recovered some of the old toys and dolls, battered but still recognizable. And grandmother's oven had turned up almost intact from the bottom of the rubble, and biscuits were about to made. And grandfather had recovered his twisted tin bathtub and hammered it back to shape. He had placed it under the mango tree, filled with hot water, and taken his bath in the afternoon sunshine. There hadn't been any soap, but there was plenty of mint in the garden. He started singing at the top of his voice, and the birds, who had just begun to return to the grove, took off in alarm and flew away again. If you liked this video and this part of the story, then please like, share and comment below. And if you are new to my channel, then please subscribe to my channel to get more awesome, lovely and interesting stories like this one. Thank you.